so good. I mean, I feel like the football games, for the most part, have been really good this year. Week 11 is no exception. We had some good games this week. And there should be another good one tonight. Which I'm gonna put this up like right after the game. So the Rams and the Bucks tonight. So I think the Rams are gonna win. But I do think it's gonna be a good game that could go either way. Alright, let's take a look at week 11. Let's take a look at week 11, week number 11 here. The Thursday night game, starting off with the Thursday night game. The Seattle Seahawks defeated the Arizona Cardinals 28-21. For the Cardinals, Kyler Murray was 29 of 42 for 269 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, a QBR of 64.2 and a rating of 102.2. Kenyon Drake carried the rock 11 times for 29 yards and a touchdown. Larry Fitzgerald had 8 receptions for 62 yards. For the Seattle Seahawks, Russell Wilson was 23 of 28 for 197 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, a QBR of 43.5 and a rating of 119.8. Carlos Hyde carried the rock 14 times for 79 yards and a touchdown. Tyler Lockett had 9 receptions for 67 yards and a touchdown. DK Metcalf had 3 receptions for 46 yards and a touchdown. Alright, so they built this game as 2 MVP frontrunners going at it head-to-head, Kyler versus Russell. Neither one of them really had that very flashy numbers. And the Seattle defense, which has been awful, horrible, terrible, much of the season, showed up. They showed up a little bit. On Thursday night, I feel like Arizona was sloppy. They looked a little bit sloppy to me. I think they had a little bit of a emotional hangover after the Hail Murray the previous week against Buffalo. So I do feel like the Cardinals looked a little bit sloppy, but you gotta give credit to the Seattle defense also. They showed up. And Arizona had a chance for a game-winning drive at the end, and Seattle showed up. So Seattle improves to 7-3. Arizona falls to 6-4. The NFC West, been talking about it all year, how good that division is. But Seattle gets the dub this week, and I don't know. I don't think either of these teams have a deep playoff run in them. If Seattle's defense, I'm not going to trust Seattle's defense just yet after one pretty good game. Like I said, Arizona looked a little bit sloppy with it also, so I feel like it was a combination of things. We'll see how they do down the stretch. I think next week Seattle has Philly. Seattle's remaining schedule is not too bad. More specifically, the next 3 games, they play the Eagles, the Giants, and the Jets. I'm sorry, more specifically, the next 4 games. Eagles, Giants, Jets, Washington, and then they finish up with the Rams and the Niners. So I think, I expect Seattle to make the playoffs, but I don't know about a deep playoff run for either of those teams. Alright, moving on here to Sunday. The Cleveland Browns. I don't know, I like that. I like the way Cleveland sounds on the Blue Yeti here. The Cleveland Browns defeated the Philadelphia Eagles 22-17. For Philly, Carson Wentz was 21 of 35 for 235 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, a QBR of 20.2, and a rating of 75.3. Miles Sanders carried the rock 16 times for 66 yards. Dallas Goedert had 5 receptions for 77 yards and a touchdown. For the Cleveland Browns, Baker Mayfield was 12 of 22 for 204 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, for a QBR of 24.7 and a rating of 86.2. Nick Chubb carried the rock 20 times for 104 George had 3 receptions for 73 yards. Cleveland gets the win. They improved to 7-3. Philly falls to 3-6-1. Oddly enough, Philly is still winning their division, the NFC least. So they're 3-6-1, and then the other 3 teams are all 3-7. All the other 3 teams got wins this week, so they all gained a little bit of ground on them. But look, Philly. I mean, the question now, I think, in Philadelphia is, how good is Carson Wentz? And I'm pretty sure he leads the league in interceptions thrown and fumbles. That's not good. I know that the team surrounding him is not good also. I've always thought that Carson Wentz would be really good, like on a good team. Like if you put Carson Wentz on the Steelers, I feel like he would be good, but I'm starting to question that a little bit now. I don't know about that. Alright, moving on here. The Carolina Panthers shut out the Detroit Lions 20-0. 20-0. For the Lions, Matt Stafford was 18 of 33 for 178 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, a QBR of 23 and a rating of 70. Adrian Peterson carried the rock 7 times for 18 yards. TJ Hockenson had 4 receptions for 68 yards. Tough stats. As a team, they only had 145 yards passing and 40 yards rushing. The Panthers defense really stepped up. And PJ Walker getting the start also in Carolina. Teddy Two Gloves, Teddy Two Gloves, Teddy Two Gloves, Teddy Bridgewater. Injured. It was a knee injury, I think, right? So PJ Walker getting the start. The XFL, all likelihood, he was going to be the MVP of the XFL if they finished the season, but they didn't get a chance to. Anyways, here he was 24 of 34 for 258 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, a QBR of 31.2 and a rating of 77.8. Mike Davis carried the rock 19 times for 64 yards and a touchdown. I thought he looked pretty good actually in this game. Christian McCaffrey out also with a shoulder injury. DJ Moore had 7 receptions for 127 yards. He showed up big. Curtis Samuel showed up big with 8 receptions for 70 yards and a touchdown. Carolina improves to 4-7. Detroit falls to 4-6. I think that Matt Patricia is probably done in Detroit after this season. I think he's gotta be. He's gotta be, right? Okay, the New Orleans Saints defeated the Atlanta Falcons 24-9. For the Falcons, Matt Ryan was 19 of 37 for 232 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions for a QBR of 19.2 and a rating of 48.5. Todd Gurley carried the rock 8 times for 26 yards. Calvin Ridley had 5 receptions for 90 yards. For the New Orleans Saints, Taysom Hill getting the start at QB. Drew Brees has 11 fractured ribs. Ouch. Yeah, so he's not gonna be. He's on IR. He's not gonna be back anytime soon in the next 3 weeks at least. But Taysom Hill was 18 of 23 for 233 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, a QBR of 68.2 and a rating of 108.9. He was also the team's leading rusher with 10 carries for 51 yards and 2 touchdowns. Michael Thomas had a big day, 9 receptions for 104 yards. I was a little bit surprised that Taysom Hill got the start over Jameis Winston. I would have thought that Jameis Winston would have started, but Sean Payton started Taysom Hill, and looks like he knew what he was doing. Passing-wise, his numbers weren't like spectacular. You know, he didn't have any touchdowns, but more importantly, he didn't have any interceptions. So, and he was able to run the ball from the quarterback position. So, it was a successful game plan, and don't rule out Jameis Winston starting one of these games coming up here either. We'll see how they handle it. I think right now he's saying Taysom Hill is the starter until Drew Brees gets back, but we'll see if anything new develops. The Washington football team defeated the Cincinnati Bengals 20-9. Joe Burrow. I was worried. I was worried about Joe Burrow getting hurt this season, and it finally caught up with him. So Joe Burrow was 22 of 34 for 203 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, a QBR of 35.7 and a rating of 90.7. Finley carried the rock 1 time for 19 yards. Tyler Boyd had 9 receptions for 85 yards. A.J. Green had 4 receptions for 41 yards and a touchdown. For the Washington football team, Alex Smith was 17 of 25 for 166 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception for a QBR of 34.6 and a rating of 83.1. Gibson carried the rock 16 times for 94 yards and a touchdown. Terry McLaurin had 5 receptions for 84 yards. Okay, so Joe Burrow tore his ACL and his MCL, and apparently, some other structural damage as well. Done for the year, obviously. I was worried about it. I was worried about his protection. They did not protect him that well. He was taking hits all season long, and I think he leads the league in drop back in passing attempts. I think so. You got your rookie QB throwing the ball every down, and you can't protect him. He's taking all these hits. He took a big hit from Chase Young at the goal line. I mean, ouch. And then, on the play that he injured his knee, it was like he stepped to plant to throw, and then somebody just hit him low, and injured his knee. So that's too bad. It's really too bad. But Washington improves to 3-7, and Cincinnati falls to 2-7-1. It's not gonna look good for Cincinnati the rest of the season without Burrow. The Pittsburgh Steelers remain undefeated. They defeated the Jacksonville Jaguars 27-3. Ben Roethlisberger was 32 of 46 for 267 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception for a QBR of 69.7 and a rating of 89.7. James Conner carried the rock 13 times for 89 yards. Deontay Johnson had 12 receptions for 111 yards. Chase Claypool had 4 receptions for 59 yards and a touchdown. For the Jaguars, Luton was 16 of 37 for 151 yards, no touchdowns, 4 interceptions for a QBR of 12.4 and a rating of 15.5. Ouch, that Pittsburgh defense is good. Combined with Jacksonville's offense is bad, so yikes. Robinson carried the rock 17 times for 73 yards. DJ Chark had 4 receptions for 41 yards. Pittsburgh now 10-0, a chance to go undefeated the rest of the way. They're going to be favored in all these games. And Jacksonville falls to 1-9. Alright, moving on here. The Tennessee Titans versus the Baltimore Ravens. This was a good game. The Tennessee Titans defeated the Baltimore Ravens 30-24. For the Titans, Ryan Tannehill was 22 of 31 for 259 yards, 2 touchdowns and 1 interception for a QBR of 80.8 and a rating of 104.1. Derrick Henry carried the rock 28 times for 133 yards and 1 touchdown. The touchdown was the game-winning touchdown in overtime. The 29-yarder. Davis had 5 receptions for 113 yards. A.J. Brown had 4 receptions for 62 yards and a touchdown. For the Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson was 17 of 29 for 186 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception for a QBR 40.5 and a rating of 74.8. J.K. Dobbins carried the rock 15 times for 70 yards and a touchdown. Andrews had 5 receptions for 96 yards and a touchdown. Des Bryant had 4 receptions for 28 yards. Okay, so Tennessee improves to 7-3. Baltimore falls to 6-4. The question here is, should we be worried about Lamar Jackson? I think that Baltimore doesn't look like they're going to go anywhere in the playoffs. They got a good chance to make the playoffs. But I this season. I think that it's a little bit early to be worried about Lamar Jackson past this season. This season, I don't think they don't have a realistic chance of even getting to the AFC Championship game. But if this type of play continues into next season, after say maybe like 4 or 5 games next season, I'd be worried. I would be worried. But I think right now it's a little bit early to be worried about the future of Lamar Jackson. Like I said, next season, if this continues after an off season, 4 or 5 games, I'd be worried. But a little bit early to be panicking, I think. Although this season does look like it's going to be lost for Baltimore. The Houston Texans defeated the New England Patriots 27-20. New England, how the mighty have fallen, right? Cam Newton did have a pretty good game, though. Cam Newton was 26 of 40 for 365 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, a QBR of 47.7 and a rating of 102.6. Can't put this one on Cam. Harris carried the rock 11 times for 43 yards and a touchdown. Bird had 6 receptions for 132 yards and a touchdown. For the Houston Texans, Deshaun Watson was 28 of 37 for 344 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, a QBR of 86.4 and a rating of 121.9. He took no sacks. They did not sack him one time yesterday. Deshaun Watson also carried the rock 6 times for 36 yards and a touchdown. Brandon Cooks had 4 receptions for 85 yards. Houston improves to 3-7. New England falls to 4-6. Okay, the Denver Broncos and the Miami Dolphins. Denver Broncos defeated the Miami Dolphins 20-13. Tua Tagovailoa got benched late in this game. Before he got benched, he was 11 of 20 for 83 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions for a QBR of 26.5 and a rating of 81.9. He was sacked 6 times. Denver's defense got to him. Exposed Miami's offensive line a little bit. They brought in Ryan Fitzpatrick. He didn't look great. he threw an interception in the end zone when they had a chance to tie it up. He was 12 of 18 for 117 yards, no touchdowns and 1 interception. Ahmed carried the rock 12 times for 43 yards. Devontae Parker had 6 receptions for 61 yards. For the Denver Broncos, Drew Lock was 18 of 30 for 270 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception for a QBR of 73.5 and a rating of 75.7. Melvin Gordon carried the rock 15 times for 84 yards and 2 touchdowns. Patrick had 5 receptions for 119 yards. Denver improves to 4-6. Miami falls to 6-4. Miami's still in the playoff hunt. Cleveland's stock took a rise in the playoff hunt yesterday because Miami and Las Vegas both lost. So it's probably going to be between those teams to get in. Cleveland, Baltimore, Las Vegas, and Miami are all going to be fighting for some playoff spots there in the AFC. Alright, the Los Angeles Chargers defeated the New York Jets 34-28. The Jets are officially eliminated from playoff contention, the first team to be completely mathematically eliminated. For the Jets, Joe Flacco was 15 of 30 for 205 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception for a QBR of 27.2 and a rating of 80.6. Frank Gore carried the rock 15 times for 61 yards and a touchdown. Mims had 3 receptions for 71 yards. For the Chargers, Justin Herbert was 37 of 49 for 366 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, a QBR of 89 and a rating of 116.5. Love the way this kid plays. Kalen Ballage carried the rock 16 times for 44 yards. Keenan Allen, have a day. Keenan Allen on my fantasy team. Loved it. You love to see it. 16 receptions. My man went off. 16 receptions for It is. I do like watching Justin Herbert play. He can sling it. That dude can sling the rock. Okay, the Indianapolis Colts defeated the Green Bay Packers in overtime, 34-31. Green Bay Packers, Green Bay Packers, Green Bay Packers, Green Bay Packers. For the Packers, Aaron Rodgers was 27 of 38 for 311 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, a QBR of 76.2, and a rating of 110.7. Aaron Jones carried the rock 10 times for 41 yards and a touchdown. Devontae Adams had 7 receptions for 106 yards and a touchdown. For the Indianapolis Colts, Phillip Rivers was 24 of 36 for 288 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception for a QBR of 68.3 and a rating of 107.2. Jonathan Taylor carried the rock 22 times for 90 yards. Michael Pittman Jr. had 3 receptions for 66 yards and a touchdown. The ending of this game was bananas. So, Indianapolis had the game won. They had the game won. And, all they had to do was run the clock out. And I think they had like 4 holding calls, 4 holding penalties inside of 1 minute of play. And, they had to give the ball back to Green Bay. And then, next thing you know, it's like a 47-yard bomb to Marquez Valdes-Scantling. And then Aaron Rodgers is so good, you know. They moved down the field and kicked the field goal to tie it up. They tied it up, sent it into overtime. The Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers got the ball first in overtime. And then Marquez Valdes-Scantling fumbled the ball. Indianapolis scooped it up, had a short field, kicked a field goal to win it. The Dallas Cowboys got a dub. The Dallas Cowboys finally got a dub over the Minnesota Vikings, 31-28. Andy Dalton back in action for Dallas. He was 22 of 32 for 203 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception for a QBR of 81.5 and a rating of 104. Ezekiel Elliott carried the rock 21 times for 103 yards, his first 100-yard game of the season. Amari Cooper had 6 receptions for 81 yards. CeeDee Lamb had 4 receptions for 34 yards and a touchdown. He had a great catch. Alright, for the Minnesota Vikings, Kirk Cousins was 22 of 30 for 314 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions for a QBR of 76.1 and a rating of 140.1. Dalvin Cook carried the rock 27 times for 115 yards and a touchdown. Adam Thielen had a couple of nice grabs also in this game. He had 8 receptions for 123 yards and 2 touchdowns. Justin Jefferson had 3 receptions for 86 yards and a touchdown. The Cowboys improved to 3-7 and Minnesota falls to 4-6. Alright, the Sunday night game. The Kansas City Chiefs defeated the Las Vegas Raiders 35-31. Great game. Patrick Mahomes was 34 of 45 for 348 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception for a QBR of 90.6 and a rating of 102.8. Clyde Edwards-Helaire carried the rock 14 times for 69 yards and 2 touchdowns. Travis Kelce had 8 receptions for 127 yards and a touchdown, including the game winner. Tyreek Hill had 11 receptions for 102 yards and a touchdown. For the Raiders, Derek Carr was 23 of 31 for 275 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception for a QBR of 95.1 and a rating of 119.7. Josh Jacobs carried the rock 17 times for 55 yards and a touchdown. Nelson Aguilar had 6 receptions for 88 yards and a touchdown. Darren Waller had 7 receptions for 88 yards and a touchdown. Kansas City improves to 9-1. Las Vegas falls to 6-6. subscribe.